What is up, YouTube? If you didn't know, my name is Twebs, and today I'm bringing you guys the first installment in my Music Mondays series. What you're going to be seeing in the background is a domination game on the map Downhill. I do really well this game too. I get my dogs twice, and I don't die in the second half of the game, which was pretty crazy for me. You know, I was shaking a little bit while I was getting the gameplay. Now, like I said, today's the first installment in Music Mondays, and I've got an interesting topic to talk about today. I want to discuss Kanye West. Now, I'm really into hip-hop. It's the primary music that I listen to. You know, there are other things that I like. I like certain forms of rock and stuff like that, but hip-hop is really what I'm into right now. And I decided, you know, a couple months ago that I really want to go back and I really want to listen to some of the great hip-hop albums, some of the great hip-hop artists, to get a better appreciation for hip-hop music as a whole. Understand why certain artists come out with what they do today, and see if it's anyway similar or however different it is from what they put out back in the day and what some of the forefathers of hip-hop put out back in the day. So Kanye West was really one of those guys that I wanted to do this with, because in many cases, you know, he is actually a musical genius, however much you want to make fun of him for certain things that he does. But I had never really listened to one of his projects front to end. So when all the hype for Yeezus was starting to build, Yeezus was is his sixth studio release. It was really one of the albums that I really wanted to listen to front to end to see what all the hype was about. And I remember too watching him perform on Saturday Night Live, where he performed the song New Slaves and he performed the song Black Skinhead. And I really got, you know, kind of excited for the project that he was going to put out. You know, the songs were really interesting to me, and I was just kind of excited for it. But he had been acting a little weird in the news lately too, not only with him, you know, having Kim Kardashian, or having a baby with Kim Kardashian, but just the way he had been acting around paparazzi, pushing people, just being really aggressive in the limelight. It was just, he was just acting really oddly, in my opinion. It was essentially him kind of going back to that, you know, infamous Taylor Swift moment where he rushed up on stage and interrupted her and everybody kind of started saying, "What's up with Kanye West?" Now, I listened to Yeezus front and back, and I wasn't that impressed. You know, other than the two songs that I really got pumped up about watching on SNL, Black Skinhead and New Slaves, there wasn't really much in the album that had me interested. You know, a lot of the album was just him being braggadocious in a sense, and not even in a clever way about it. It's more of just him talking about how he wants girls all around him and how he's ready to take them back home or back to the hotel, you know, after being at the club with them. And there really isn't, you know, clever wordplay really. There really isn't, you know, too much deep thought about this. You know, I will say the saving grace of the album, though, is the production. I thought the production was, you know, really interesting. A lot of hard-hitting stuff that's quite angry, but he also kind of tones it back a little bit on songs like, you know, Blood on the Leaves in certain areas. And it's production that we haven't really heard before in hip-hop, which is a good thing because it brings something new into the game that, you know, people can start to focus on and start to use now. But other than the two songs that I mentioned before, Black Skinhead and New Slaves, none of the content was really deep or introspective. The lines were also just kind of trashy and just not that good also. In the first song, On Sight, he has a line where he talks about he rolls up to the club and parks the Benz and then he gets it shaking like Parkinson's. You know, a lot of people have been giving J. Cole flack for a line recently where he essentially equated autism to retardation. I kind of think that this line is just as bad though too. Like, talking about Parkinson's in that manner is just essentially not acceptable. And also songs like Hold My Liquor, I just could not get into. Badly auto-tuned Chief Keef plus bad Kanye West raps and bad Kanye West flows does not make an enjoyable song for me. And that was just kind of the theme of the album. Except for a couple places, I thought the production was pretty good, but the raps were just not that great. The wordplay was just not that great. His flow was just not that great. And it just kind of made the album mediocre to me. So I wasn't, you know, I was interested to see what he had done earlier in his career because people had hailed his first album, which was The College Dropout, as one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. So I was kind of interested to see what he had done in those earlier albums that made them so great. So after Yeezus, after listening to Yeezus front to back, I went and I listened to the College Dropout front to back. Listened to it a couple times. And I was honestly shocked by what, by the project that he had put out, because it was so ridiculously good. I still think that the greatest hip-hop album that I've ever listened to front to back, and probably the greatest album I've ever listened to front to back, is Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City. But this is right up there. College Dropout is right up there. And it's right up there because it brings everything that Yeezus brings, and then it brings everything that Yeezus doesn't bring. So what I mean by that is Yeezus brought production. The College Dropout brings production. Kanye in this album produces everything, and it's on point throughout the entire album. He has songs where he can slow it down, the production-wise, like slow jams, and then he has songs where it's just high, up-tempo, just energy sort of stuff, like the song Jesus Walks. I just think that it's, the production was really great throughout the album. And then what I mean by it brings stuff that Yeezus doesn't bring: content, wordplay, flows. It's just much better throughout the College Dropout. So, like going back, like I said, the song Jesus Walks, he's really talking about, an interesting situation within the hip-hop community where, people kind of walk around, and rappers will walk around with, Jesus pieces or chains with crosses on them, but no one really talks about, the real influence that God can have, or that Jesus can have in someone's life. Kanye has a line about this in the song, too, that's really great, where he says, "If this take away from my spins, which will probably take away from my ends, then I hope it take away from my sins." Which is, it's just an interesting way to look at the relationship between God and the hip-hop community when people walk around praising God and everything, but then no one really takes the time to, talk about God or Jesus in the song. And it's just a really interesting way of putting the situation within the community. He's also got another really interesting song called The New Workout Plan, where it's essentially him having an infomercial for a workout tape for women, essentially saying that if they follow this workout plan, and if they put the time in to do everything that he's saying, they can pull a rapper or pull a basketball player and not have to worry about dating some guy who's broke and who doesn't have money, even though they might not love the guy who they pull. They're just there for the money. In a way, it's kind of like a prelude to the famous song Gold Digger, but it's just an interesting way of him observing how women act within the community that he is from, and it's really just it's a good look into that aspect of the life that he was a part of. But one of the themes that's prevalent throughout this album, though, is how important is college. He's got a song on there accompanied by skits called School Spirit, where he essentially talks about how you have to balance the desire to get an education with the desire to actually perform and work in the real world. You can have a case where a guy always goes to college, just goes to school, and ends up with a ton of degrees, but leaves nothing for his children, and essentially leaves them out on the street because he can't make money. Or you can have a guy who has zero education at all and is just on the streets his entire life and doesn't really grow past that. It's an interesting dichotomy that he raps about, and it's stuff like that that really makes this album, interesting. It really makes it introspective, and he never sounds braggadocious on this, unlike Yeezus. He's got a song called Last Call, where it's essentially him for 8 minutes talking over a beat about how he came up in the game and how he was looking at guys in Jay-Z in a studio and thinking, like, damn, like, this is hope. Like, I can't believe I'm talking to him right now. And it's really just something that we don't really see in Kanye West anymore, because he's so over the top now. Literally there is a song on Yeezus called I Am a God, something that you would never see on the College Dropout. And it makes me think, where did Kanye West go wrong? It's an interesting topic because, some people can argue, he never went wrong. Yeezus is a great work of art. And I kind of see that side, but I don't really agree with it. I think something happened on his rise to, fame, and his rise to stardom, and his rise to being one of the greatest hip-hop personalities and rappers and producers of all time, that really caused him to kind of change his mentality and change his personality. You know, I think that he kind of wasn't ready for the fame in a sense, and it's kind of hit him now. It's kind of something isn't quite right with him and the way that he is handling fame. I don't know though, that's just my personal opinion. I think that you can possibly go back to his old stuff and his new stuff, his 7th studio album, say, be even better, but that's just my opinion. I'd like to know what you guys would think though. Remember to hit the like button if you like this video, leave suggestions, topics, and comments down below, and subscribe if you want to see more content. So, I really thank you guys for watching this video. Like I said, if you have anything about Kanye, leave it down below, and I hope to see you guys later.